So I'm here at the woodshed, and in the employee room, we need a table. We've just been using the cheesy fold outs. And so I have a day to spare. So it's my goal to build a table in one day with a super light hollow core door. Let me show you what I'm thinking. It might sound crazy, but stay with me, folks. I promise it turns out nice looking. You can buy a hollow core door for super cheap. This is gonna make up the bulk of my door, and I actually have the space and the need for the entire size. But know that you can cut it down to any custom size should you need to. If you do that, you'll see the inside is indeed hollow. But if you take a saw and cut back the inside cardboard, you can simply cut some scraps down to size and plug it. A few screws in the face will give you some handle so that you can pull it out to be exactly flush with the edge. Like I said, I need a large table for my employees at the woodshed. So I left the door as is and started on step 2, which is getting a flat surface. Since the inside of these is mostly air and cardboard, it isn't unusual for there to be slight waves in the surface. To get a flatter surface, I applied a good amount of DAP's weldwood glue to the surface and attached a sheet of 1/4" MDF. I'm using brad nails to hold it down around the perimeter, since that is where the only wood is. Then I used whatever heavy objects I could find to apply pressure to the center while that glue set up. It's easiest if you leave the MDF wild on all sides, then trim it to be exactly flush afterwards. A door is slightly smaller than a sheet, so I had a small lip on all sides that I trimmed off using a flush trim bit in my Triton router. And check out my stealth mask if you're needing a lightweight but effective respirator. This one has the lowest breathing resistance of any half mask on the market, but still filters out 99.9% of particles. And you can use my code for 10% off. I realize I've only managed to make the door uglier at this point, but now is the step where we start transforming it. The end goal will be to use a sheet of veneer for the top, and this can be made from any wood species of your choice. That's one of the cool things about this project. But whatever veneer you pick out for the top, you need to match with solid wood for this step. I'm going with zebra wood because I've never worked with it, but it's beautiful and I was able to find some solid wood local to me. I milled it to be the same size as the door thickness and used glue and a pin nailer to attach it to all sides. It's important to get these boards as flush to the top as possible, but if you're going to be going over or under flush, be over. Also, just a tip I do is I try and shoot nails into the darker part of the grain to help hide the holes. I mentioned in the last step that the important thing was to get the pieces flush with the top. That's because a flat surface is crucial for a good feeling table. I did my best, but there were some pieces where the wood was a little high. So next I went over the entire table and sanded anything high down flush. And this is why it's better to leave things over flush rather than under, because it's an easy fix. For this, I used my 4-inch Triton belt sander. A wider belt will make it easier to keep it flat and not create divots. Let me pause and thank this video sponsor, which is NordVPN. Life on the internet is mainstream for all of us these days, and I personally make a living by putting information on the internet, which makes digital security even more important to me. A VPN is a virtual private network, which gives you online privacy by creating a private network from a public internet connection. NordVPN creates an encrypted tunnel for your data, protects your online identity by hiding your IP address, and allows you to use public Wi-Fi hotspots safely. A VPN is your best friend when using public Wi-Fi. NordVPN also allows you to access streaming platforms from anywhere. This really is so easy, and I can't recommend protecting your digital information enough. If you're ready to browse the internet safely and freely, go to nordvpn.com/AprilVPN to get a 2-year plan plus 4 additional months with a huge discount. That's nordvpn.com/AprilVPN. There is also a link for you down in the description. Okay, next up is to add the veneer. I ordered a custom size to fit my table, and as you know, I went with zebra wood. The sheet is really easy to cut the size with a pair of scissors, but don't cut it exactly to size. You want to leave it about 1 inch oversized to make applying it easier. Before applying the veneer, I used air to blow off the surface, then also wiped it down with a dry paper towel until no dust showed on it. Next, I peeled up the first inch or so of the veneer on one edge and held it in place where I thought it needed to go. Then, with the helping hand, somebody else held the other end to make sure things did indeed look good and the whole table was covered. If you leave an inch oversized, you should have half an inch to play with on all the sides. Since it looked good, I firmly stuck my end so that it was stuck, and then I rolled it back up so that I could peel and stick the remaining portion. Once it's down, firmly apply pressure everywhere. I started by using my hands, but then came back with a rubber roller, which you can get in the flooring section of any box store. Now this is starting to look like something cool. Now I just needed to trim off the excess veneer. And you can do this by laying cardboard on the ground and setting the door on its face and using a box blade. However, I wanted a small bevel on my top, so I used a Triton router once again to put in the detail while also trimming off the excess. And believe it or not, that is it for the building portion. The last step is to put a finish on it. This table will most certainly take a beating with my crew. We not only use our current setup as a lunch table, but also often as a work table. I'm about to make a mess. With that, I went with a clear but really protective finish by Total Boat called Tabletop Epoxy. It's a two-part resin that is 100% waterproof with excellent scratch, stain, and yellowing resistance. It's designed specifically for tables, bar tops, and even counters. The idea is to pour the epoxy directly on top of the table, then let it drip off the sides. So I laid down plastic to protect my floor, then started mixing. I used a silicone spreader to move the epoxy all over the surface to get everything coated. And man, it is so satisfying watching that zebra wood grain come to life. Once the top was coated, I used a foam brush to coat all of the sides. Another great feature about the tabletop epoxy is that it has excellent self-leveling features. After getting this pour done, I went over the entire surface with a heat gun to pop any bubbles. And don't worry about all the drips on the bottom side. Those are easy to sand off. But man, look how pretty that top came out. Okay, almost finished. For the legs, I ordered some pre-made metal legs. With this being a hollow door, there is no good meat to attach the legs onto the underside. To fix that, I first glued a block of 1/2 inch wood to the areas where the legs needed to be joined to. And this will give me something solid to drive screws into. Okay, now let's move out the old and move in the new. Can you believe that? I am personally blown away at how beautiful it turned out considering I started with the door. It truly looks like a solid wood table made from zebra wood. And it was so simple, the build only took a single day. Actually less, but I'll go ahead and round up. Also, what an upgrade for the break room. If I needed another table, I really want to make a bamboo one next. I just love the green and bamboo. If you're needing a table, then I really hope that this project has helped you out. I linked to everything I used down in the description, and see you on whatever I'm building next. If you're looking for a next project, I recommend this coffee table I designed that has adjustable heights. You can fold out the tall legs to eat from it, or you can tuck those up and bring out the shorter legs for it to be a standard coffee table. You can click here for plans and here to subscribe to the channel.